Dogs episode 6. This one was called Frankfurter Sandwich. The basic premise for the episode was Cheese has just been addicted to VR games for the longest time. So his grandmother gets him to go out on like a fishing trip with his uncles, and it's not like the uncles, like blood uncles. These are like the South African style
like
uncles. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just you've been in the family for long enough where now you're an uncle.
No, you're right.
And it's Big, which is Zahn McClarnon from Doctor Sleep, and then Brownie and also Bucky. So it's funny because we've seen them in the 70s, and they've kind of been around the show the whole time, but we've seen them in the 70s, and now sort of seeing them now, and it like makes a difference. And Brownie talks about how the way that you fight against depression and stuff is you just be yourself. So, and then Cheese is like, and how do you be yourself? And they're out there like fishing and whatnot. They've got their different styles of fishing. Whereas Big will like actually use a rod and whatnot. And Bucky, who's a science guy, drugs the fish using this organic, and then just puts them in his bag. And then
that's
like
how Amazon's hunt. You know that, yeah? There's a certain thing that they make, and they go out in the water and they just chuck it in the water, puts the fish to sleep, and they just pick up.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. And then they have a mad fish fry up afterwards. And then a mad sleep.
As you do.
But then they do this thing where they're kind of talking together, and because Cheese used to be for like an episode in like this group home where they had these little counseling sessions, he uses the same concept on them. Now these are men that haven't really sort of interacted with each other on an emotional level. Because you don't get taught that. That's not some shit that, like, you know, every parent does, and you don't go through society because you don't get that many opportunities to do that, right? Like, people didn't do that back in the day, and it's only basically a new thing that is out in the forefront. So Cheese is now teaching it to these O's, and it's like the talk that they sort of have that Big brings up, who's the cop in the town, the sheriff, they've got a name. They had them in Wind River as well. It was Reservation Police.
Reservation Police.
Yeah.
Respon.
Yeah. So he's the one that brings up Maximus. And Maximus was Graham Greene's character with the mohawk.
Yeah.
A couple of episodes ago. So yeah, he was talking about him and how he wasn't there for him and whatnot. And that's when it clicks for Cheese that this disconnection from the world is also disconnection from his people, from his friend circle as well. So in order for him to really sort of get the most from this fishing trip, he invites his friends out, and his friends bring Sonic, the big shakes and whatnot. I was like, fuck, those are big drinks, man.
Mate, Sonic is like, supposedly the food is trash, but the drinks are supposed to be next level from Sonic.
I might just have to get a big old drink. That might be the day's calories right there.
Stays on the water, my friend.
But yeah, that was Res Dogs. Really, really liked the episode. It doesn't feel like it's leading anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, this is the last season for the series, and it's done. It doesn't feel like it's going to a place like other shows where now find out the finale or whatnot. Nah, it's like still like episodic in nature.
Yeah.
I was just fine with it, but like, I don't know. It feels like Atlanta in that way. Yeah.
What's his name?
Who? Keith?
The guy that in Disney. What's his name?
Disney.
Yeah, he becomes the head of Disney because of his name. He's got like the widest name.
After the Goofy movie one.
Yeah. That is the best, nearly the best episode of TV I've ever seen.
For real?
It's amazing, that episode. It was so good.
Atlanta had so many good episodes. I just didn't like how they wrapped it up.
Yeah.
For me, that's the thing that pissed me off, that it was all Darius's sort of dreams and sessions in the tank. It makes sense though, but I just didn't like how convenient that was.
Yeah.
That's
but that
all.
means that none of that stuff happened.
No. Ever. And their lives are probably completely different. But his dreams for his friends, or they may not have even existed.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Lioness finale.
Hmm.
So, if you want to talk about fucking convenience, the end of this episode had convenience coming right out your fucking ass. Because, it started off fine. They're setting up for the operation. They're all there in Mallorca. I like that. There was this thing where, okay, you jump on a plane, you fly to Spain, but it's coming from an Arabic airline, so that looks like sort of like you were sort of on that path to kind of get there. We're going to go set up operationally, get our yacht going, set up outside of the coastal little castle thing that you got. The wedding's going to be held there and whatnot. So, like, that setup was there. Then that governmental operational control room is kind of going, and Doug from House of Cards is in there, and Morgan M.F. Freeman is back. The motherfucker returns. So he's there, and he's basically shitting on the whole thing, right? Because for some reason, and I understand it, because if they were to frisk their operative that's being sort of
Inserted.
put in with inserted, if they were to frisk them, they would find like any bugs or transmitting devices and whatnot. So she's got a little sort of panic button on her necklace and her bracelet. So if she presses any one of those, it's exfil from any place possible. So her job here at the wedding, get in there, sight the father, then kill the father, and then exfil, get out of there. So anyways, the way that they started the setup, because as soon as she gets to the place where they're going to have the wedding, the bride, who's like the chick that she's been having this torrid, vigorous lesbian relationship with for the last 2 episodes, her soon-to-be husband has a bug up his ass about Cruz for some reason. Never was there in any of the other prior episodes. In fact, he was very protective of her, because she gets, like, this guy goes to assault her in one of the episodes, and she fucking pushes him back and lays him out. And then he sends the guy away and then reassures her that he won't be back. But in this episode, then goes, you left the hotel room crying. You're doing, like, like you were very emotional. Why? And then she tells him, because your wife's life is about to change and mine is not. And then he slaps her out of nowhere and then says, after tonight, it's goodbye. And then proceeds to, like, check out her ID to make sure that she's really who she says she is. I was like, but why add that in this episode? You would have laid...
missing? Is there another episode before this where he's...
Yeah, exactly. You would have laid breadcrumbs way before. The whole way through. Him and his...
Just a snide look, or like, just something.
Dude. Fucking hell. But yeah, so they didn't set up any of that. But now he's got this bug up his ass. He finds some shit on her. Cruz also... Like, they introduce sort of what happens on an Arabic wedding night, which was actually really, really cool, because they stuck to the rules of the men's side, the women's side, and then everyone's sort of waiting for this wedding to happen from 10 p.m. at night. And the woman rocks up at 12, so she doesn't seem anxious, and then they go out and they kind of do the ceremony or whatnot, and then they party, and then they both, like, separate again. The man and the woman separates again. They have their own parties, and then they come back together. Well, it was pretty cool. And the maddest thing about it, the ceremony, fuck seats, dog. These O's had couches. Couches. Like, that's comfort you ain't never seen in a wedding before.
Badly. And everybody wants to sit on a couch.
Fucking big time.
Little hooker in there, you know what I mean?
It was open air. It was open air.
Yeah, I get down, dog.
I wouldn't mind an Arabic wedding. I'm telling you right fucking now.
Yeah. Arabic wedding.
Only for the open air.
Arabic wedding, next level. Indian wedding too. It's very similar.
Yeah. So then, right? Then they fucking go on to Cruz and the bride to be. They kind of they meet up again in the midnight hours, and then Cruz is like, I can't get it on with you because it's too confusing, and then whatnot. And then she steps out. She's like, I need to go get some water. So she goes to the kitchen, and when she's at the kitchen, she hears a voice. She closes the fridge door, and it's the bride's father. So the target is there. Then Asan, you see a shot of Asan fucking finding out that Cruz is actually some military person. It's like a Marine or whatnot.
Shut.
Yeah. And then runs. And then for some reason, he wasn't tracking her or anything. He doesn't call security. He goes himself, and he knows exactly where to run. He runs straight to the kitchen. He's like, Marine! And then Cruz, like in the blink of an eye, just turns into Jason fucking Bourne. She takes a knife and she kills the father, cold-blooded. She had the maddest interaction with the father, where they were trying this gelato that's only made in Spain, but apparently it's as good as Italy. Like, if you're not getting gelato in Italy, this is the place where you get gelato, and it's like a pre-packaged. I don't know. I'm not a gelato man, but anyways,
best gelato on the planet came from here, my friend. From here, from Australia, in a little shop in bloody near Newtown there.
I don't know. This is some prepackaged stuff. You can work out all that shit like you go knock on Taylor Sheridan's door after Kevin Costner's finished with him.
Oh, God.
That's tough. I just saw Costner walking out, putting his jacket back on with blood on his knuckles.
He just straight up accused
He's
him of
all
being
yours.
lazy.
Jesus.
Did you hear what he said?
No.
Who, Costner or Sheridan?
Costner.
What did he say?
Costner came out recently and goes, they had me for that last season because they were going to shoot 5A and 5B.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, they said between 5A and 5B, we will take a break. And he was like, that's fine. I'm going to go shoot my Western then. No worries. They fucked up and couldn't get their shit together. He had to cancel his Western so that he could go do what's his face. So that's why he's pissed. Because I would be too. It was like they're lazy and they don't know how to organize.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, that's
it's not
dumb.
like you keep someone like Kevin Costner sort of just like waiting for scripts, you know what I mean? I'm hungry, I want to eat now.
He's the biggest star in the world right now.
This was the schedule that we had for 4 prior seasons, motherfucker.
That we agreed to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd be suing. Yeah. All right. So anyways, she knifes these O's down big time. Like excessive stabbing. You know, like Melissa Barrera stabs in Scream?
Yeah.
In Scream 6? Like that. She kills these O's. Asan and what's-his-face. And then exfils. And these Arabicos is shooting at her. She's like running through the courtyard and shit because she hit the locator. She's running through the courtyard and whatnot. And these O's is shooting at her. There's like 20 O's shooting at her. She's fucking like just running and not one bullet is hitting her, not even grazing her, nothing. and then these fucking Marines come in out the darkness, right? Because she's run like out onto the back garden towards the coast. These Marines come out and there's 6 of them against 20 of these O's with guns. And they just destroy. They just OP and they just lay all these O's out. They even the women were shooting and they just lay them out.
Yeah.
Clean house.
And
That's it.
yeah, and then they get her out. And then once they're on the boat, that's when Cruz starts punching Joe, who's Saldana,
Okay.
because now the guilt is kind of setting in.
Right. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
I was lotioning my
That was,
hands for a moment.
Kind of a wrap on the season. I didn't find it that strong. I thought it was a really convenient end episode. They could have kept it really, really tight if they wanted to, just on the operation, and not sort of include Asan or whatnot. But I'm guessing budgetary concerns, considering the locale that they were shooting at, and yeah, I guess where they were shooting and what they were shooting, and the stars that were in it, that they had to keep it way, way down. Because I would have preferred they had the wedding and then it take place at the party afterwards, something like that. But yeah, that was Lioness. I'll see what they do with the second season. I'll watch probably.
Well, it's a hit now, yeah. So they're gonna try and figure it out better this time. I think this season was just it's the first season. Can't throw everything at it. I would have loved. It sounds like they only do one operation throughout this whole season. I would have loved to see at least 2 operations in the season. They can't be the only team out there.
They do, but there's lots of little mini missions that kind of happen along the way. And you get to see everyone sort of operate and whatnot. But for me, it was the family drama that sort of drove a lot of it home for me. Like in this episode, it was really cool that Zoe Saldana and her husband have a fight because she's on operation, but she's getting personal calls. And she's like emotional or whatnot because the daughter's upset and having night terrors and whatnot. The father's like frustrated as shit because like, why can't we call you? You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to sort of deal with this all on my own? But she's also frustrated because like, I've got to keep my head in the game and you're fucking my chi up big time.
Yeah.
So, like they kind of had to smooth things over just for the situation. And then they
I'm trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.